The president's poll numbers are way down, and the rollout of his signature health care law has been a disaster. It's gotten so bad, since his re-election, President Obama is now actually being compared to Richard Nixon.
Oh.
It's one thing for Bill Clinton to say, I feel your pain. It's another thing for Barack Obama to say, I feel your pain that I have caused. And for him to say it was caused by a situation. That's the word he used in the operative sentence. We this week marked the one-year anniversary of his re-election. Has there ever, with the exception of Richard Nixon in 1973, been a worse first year of a second term?
And Democratic strategist James Carville also had some somewhat amusing advice for the president.
I think the best thing he can do is take a toke on the mayor of Toronto's crack pipe, because his number's about 48, so
there you go.
All right, we're going to get to all of those stories. Eric, I want to start with you, though, because one of the reasons the president's poll numbers are bad across the board, which we're going to get to in a bit, but you have to pin a lot of it on the health care law and Obamacare. And there was some news just released from the Wall Street Journal that I think our viewers would love to know.
So the Wall Street Journal estimates that somewhere between 40 and 50,000 people enrolled in Obamacare in the month of October. So that means, extrapolated out, 50,000, let's take the high number, 50,000 for the month. It would take 140 months to get to their 7 million number that they want in March, or 11 years, almost 10 years and 10 months, almost 11 years. So you know, it's a disaster. It's a disaster rollout. His poll numbers are sliding. I can't wait until, I just want to be on TV Friday when they announce how many the real number is. They're going to tell us Friday what the exact number is. The Wall Street Journal says 50. I have a hunch. If that's right, boy,
how many billions does it cost per person to get to 50,000 in the first month?
You know, I think someone did the math on it. It was something like $14 million per enrollee.
Something crazy.
Something like that.
Julie, we're glad you're here today. I want to ask you about this. Pew Research poll that came out on Friday showed President Obama tanking on almost every issue, below 40 on the economy, immigration, health care, foreign policy, and hanging around 51% on terrorism. Those are approval numbers that at the White House this weekend. Do you think they were at all concerned, or were they just said, let's go play golf?
They should be concerned. I mean, I'm concerned as a Democrat. Look, when you're tanking immigration that you've been trying to actually move forward and you're not being allowed to do that, you've got problems. I mean, he can't sell anything to the American people anymore. I don't know what happened to this great communicator, Barack Obama, that we all voted for, or at least I did in 2008. Even the guy that I voted for in 2012. Start communicating, my friend, because if you don't, your numbers are going to keep going down and down and down. And
I think that's actually been one of their problems. I think that they have felt that they could communicate their way out of every problem. So, Kimberly, when you look at some of the policy problems, has it finally just all caught up to them that the policy is so bad that they can no longer maintain the politics?
Yeah, they can no longer cloak it in rhetoric, okay? So you may call him the great communicator, but if you don't have any substance behind it, then you're just a suit. And the problem here is that the American people have grown weary because he has talked so much that it's almost like white noise when you listen to it. After a while, they're not really taking it in. So before it used to work for them very well, that he would go into campaign mode. He would go out and give a series of speeches and connect with the people and move them, and he would send his surrogates out to the Sunday news talk shows, and he would work the puppets in the mainstream media to be able to effectuate an outcome for himself that was positive. Now that's failing. When you look at that Pew poll, it's indicative of a real crisis in his administration because he's failing across the board in his approval ratings, whether it's immigration, whether it's foreign policy, everything else down the board is not doing well for him. Well, so they have to do something
except for terrorism. Better. He's doing 51. Maybe he can drone his health care law.
I don't know how well he can drone his way out of it. You can only kill bin Laden once. This is the problem.
Greg's thoughts on this in particular, and then I want to ask something about Debbie Wasserman Schultz's comments.
Mm-hmm. What's your question?
I wanted to ask anything that you want, actually.
No, I mean, these scandals, they come and go. They're like a cold sore on a stripper's lip. All he has to do is wait them out, and that's what they have been doing, thanks to Appliant Media. We've been doing this show for 2-3 years, and there's a scandal after scandal after scandal, and then they just fizzle out because he pivots to another scandal. So the fact is, we can focus on this turmoil all you want, but it means nothing if you don't offer something better. These things don't last forever, and the Republican Party has to look at it this way. You can play the worst team in the world and still lose if you don't have any players. So as long as you keep focusing on how crappy this health care law, and that's great, but you've got to be able to come up with something positive. Stop thriving on crisis, start thriving on solutions.
But like a cold sore on a hooker's lip, it'll keep flaring up. To take that great analogy because I love it.
I said stripper.
I'm sorry. Is there a difference? You're right.
Now you've ruined Julie.
You're right. Way to ruin my point.
Now strippers are going to be really
I'm going
mad
to be
at you.
really, you know what? I'm really mad that you ruined my point, but I'm going to try to make it anyway. It's going to keep flaring up, to take that analogy, to an even better point. Unless he gets it under control. What upsets me is his number one priority was health care reform. How could it have allowed to go down so badly with the way they're selling?
Then all that's going to happen is you can fix the cold sore, but she's still a stripper. And at the end of the day, they have to use that's
an honorable profession.
No,
let her be a stripper.
but the health care law is still a hooker, is still a stripper. You can get rid of the cold sore, but once you fix it, once you fix the website, you still have to deal with the health care law.
I would like to formally apologize for introducing this metaphor in the A block.
And we thought that this
But
Monday
it
was
works
going to be
so well.
boring.
It's actually perfect. Obamacare is like prostitution or strippers.
Okay, it is hard to transition out of that.